Right, hello. This is going to be a quick guide on how to submit your SCA name and heraldry. I'm Revna, the Kingdom Media Officer, and with me is Calamus, if you want to introduce yourself.
I am Calamus Schreiber. I am the former North Shield Principal Herald and the former North Shield Submissions Herald, both. I've had both positions. So this is a process I'm mildly familiar with, to say the least.
Yeah,
So,
so I am mostly just here to keep the video going. Calamus is kind of going to give you most of the information. The first thing we're going to start with is what is an SCA name and heraldry?
okay. SCA name and heraldry. You are allowed to register with the College of Arms. And when I say the College of Arms, that is the society wide umbrella of all of the senior heralds in the SCA. So the SCA College of Arms is the keepers of names and devices, heraldry, badges, as outlined in Corpora. This is a mission that the College of Arms has been given by the president, by the board, to help organize the entire structure and keep two people from having the same name or having the same device, badge, stuff like that. It keeps everything organized and it keeps people from stepping on each other's toes. Just like in the real world, there are many colleges of arms, usually one for each country, that do the same thing. They make sure that people's arms, devices, stuff like that, are unique when they are issued, and that is our goal as well. So at the top, we have our head officer, which is the Laurel Sovereign of Arms, currently Brigitta in Finland, in Drakenwald. And then we have two subordinate sovereigns of arms, a names sovereign of arms, which is Pelican sovereign of arms, and an armorial sovereign of arms, which is Wreath sovereign of arms. And Pelican or Wreath are the two sovereigns who actually make the decisions on whether or not a submission is accepted or returned. And that is a process that I will get into a little more briefly later in the what happens to your submission after you submit portion of the program. But this College of Arms, these two make the decision with the help of a lot of other senior heralds. So other submissions heralds, other principal heralds, former sovereigns, all of these people are the ones who help make this decision up at the top. And they do this and they keep track of it. We have officers that keep track of the list of all of your names, lists of all of the devices. And these are, again, so that we can make sure that people aren't, duplicating names and devices. It's very important. So when you register your name, you choose a name that is your persona. You can have up to 10 of them registered. And that includes things like, House of the Ferret or a house name or anything like that that you want, or alternate personas, alternate names. Technically speaking, I have both Friedrich Schreiber and Calamus Schreiber registered. I have two names. I have, on the other side of things, your devices on badges, you can have up to 10 pieces of arms registered as well. And those, you can have one of them set aside to be your device. And the other 9 can be badges, and that can be personal badges or badges for your household or however else you want to do it. And so you get 10 names and 10 pieces of armory. And only one of those can be your device, but the others can be things to mark your possessions with. I believe I have one device and 3 badges, if I remember correctly, at the moment. So these are things that you register with the College of Arms, and then we keep track of it. The difference between the device and the badge, which is something we frequently get asked. The device is you. That is the picture or the symbol that represents you as a person, whereas badges could be something that you would put on your possessions, or you can slap them on your men-at-arms or whatever you want to. I slap them on my kids so I can keep track of who they are and where they are, and so other people know, oh, that belongs to Calamus, and so badges are a little more flexible as far as that goes. But the device is really something that you put on your own personal shield, and it says, "This is me," um, and that's really the difference between those things. As far as names go, the name you register is the name that all of your badges and devices in Armory are attached to. The key on the database is your name. It is, and then everything else that you register is attached to that primary name that you register it under. You can always switch whatever one is your primary name. We make the database do its thing. Um, and your name when you join the SCA, the one that goes on your blue card, you can literally put anything in that line that you want. Nobody checks. The name on the blue card is an administrative detail at the registration office and has nothing to do whatsoever with what you do with the College of Arms. We would love it if they were in some way connected, but they aren't, because registering a name is not required. Just as, interestingly enough, getting a blue card is also not required. So since both of these two things are optional, we do not tie them together on in the back end in any way, shape, or form.
All right, great. That was a great explanation of those two. And then the second thing I had to talk about is generally before you fill out your paperwork, you have to consult a herald. How do you find a herald?
Um, there's a lot of jokes that we have involving that process. Loudly state something wrong about armory, and you will find a herald. No, that's just kind of an internet joke. The best way to get information out of the internet is to loudly proclaim something incorrect and see who comes out of the woodwork to correct you. And sadly, it works the same way for heraldry, if you know where to state it. But really, the best place to go, honestly, is probably going to be your local business meeting if you have one, because the herald is being your local herald, if you have one, is an officer of your group, and will regularly show up to those. Or if nothing else, the people at your meetings will know who your herald is, and can get you pointed in the right direction. If you don't have business meetings, you don't go to business meetings, whatever. If for some reason you can't find one locally that way, you can always email either herald@northshield.org, which goes to Polaris, which is our principal herald, or you could just email keithong@northshield.org straight up. And either one of those two ways, they will get you to a herald that can help you out, get you to somebody who is allowed or is qualified for or whatever for helping you out with names and armory. It's something that most of us really like doing. We like to joke that there's different flavors of herald. We have administrative heralds, we have book heralds, we have field heralds, we've got voice heralds. There's a lot of types, lots of subspecies of heralds. And the book heralds are the ones that you're looking for. But most of us dual class. So if not, we certainly know who can get you.
Okay, great. And I think those emails you're mentioning are here on the website. If you go on to people and scroll to heralds, you can find a list of all the heralds, and it also has, I believe, the local group heralds emails and stuff on here as well, or at least their names.
We can absolutely get you set up with somebody who can do a consult. If you're, if you like doing lots of research, you're welcome to hop on to heraldry.sca.org, and there are all sorts of name resources up there, especially the simple lists up there. And there are name resources there. Usually it's going to be probably in the archive section there. Articles, archives, accumulated data, all sorts of things. If you're ever really, really bored, you can look through the precedents, the armorial. There's some articles here which are going to have lots of stuff there for you as well if you want to do names articles. There you go. And that's taken into culture, topics, times, all sorts of fun things.
Nice.
So lots of stuff there. And there's also things on suggestions for how to best document and stuff like that. But overall, the process is fairly straightforward. But if you've never done it before, it's always good to have somebody holding your hand. So.
For sure. All right, great. And then I think the next thing we have up is the actual document for submitting it, right? Unless I'm skipping ahead.
Yep.
The way I've found easiest to find this on the website is clicking the little search bar up here and just searching name. And then there's a how to submit name and devices page on the website that if you scroll down, there is a name submission form right here.
Mhm.
I'll open this in a new tab actually. And then a device submission form and also a badge submission form.
Mm-hmm. The only difference between the badge and the device forms are that the badge is a square and the device is a shield shape. Otherwise, they are pretty much the same. So could you scroll down to the bottom of that for just a second for me? I just want, there we go, 4.0. Okay, good. We have the right versions online.
Yeah.
Had to double check because occasionally we still get the old 3.0 forms. And
Oh yeah.
if you still have the old 3.0 forms, you need to do another 4.0 or it will get an administrative return and you get to do it all over again.
Ah,
So,
that's
uh,
unfortunate.
yeah,
Yeah, this was
yeah.
updated
Hmm.
with the 4.0 form, so
Yeah. So, but we still get some people occasionally dropping them in on the 3.0 form and we have to send those back.
understandable. All right, so I do have a example of my girlfriend Clara's
Hmm.
name and heraldry right here that
Hmm.
we can kind of use to fill out the form.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, it's pretty self-explanatory.
Yep.
We'll start with the name form because I find that to be a little easier. I think there's some more stuff kind of to go along
Yep.
with the heraldry.
Yeah.
So it's mostly just filling in boxes. I'm not going to put in our
Yeah. We would prefer
actual
no personal
address and
identifying info,
stuff,
no PII on the videos, please.
but you'll put in your
Um,
address, your
right.
phone number,
Yeah.
your email, and then your branch name.
Hmm.
If you don't know your branch name, you should be able to find it um,
Hmm.
online
Worst case
somewhere.
scenario, you can just use North Shield.
Yep.
That's technically a branch that you belong to. So, um, so consulting Herald, Herald's email phone. Obviously, that's going to depend. You know, when I was submitting mine, I was just my own name and information because I did my own. Uh,
Yep.
but so yeah, and usually you're going to be clicking on primary and new 9 times out of 10. But you know, if you're doing a resubmission, like it got returned and you got to do it, or you want to change something, or you know, all sorts of things. You can do appeals if you want to do an appeal, or you fix the things that need to be fixed. Appeal
And
is
what?
when
Yeah,
the
that's
difference
what I was
between
gonna ask.
yeah, the difference between a resubmission and an appeal. A resubmission is we send it back to you and with, hey, can you fix these things? You fix those things and you resubmit it. Cool. An appeal is no, I was right the first time and here's why. And it's a resubmission, but you're not changing anything. And you're saying,
Gotcha.
no, really, this is I'm not changing anything. I'm appealing this decision. I don't think that it was decided correctly. Very rarely is that going to be used, and you're probably going to want to get a number of senior heralds involved with an appeal. I've done one um, in the 6 years that I've been doing this stuff. I have been a part of one appeal, and it was a thing. I don't recommend it. But if you absolutely think that you've got it, then do the appeals process. As it turns out, it went in the submitter's favor, the one that I helped work on. It does not happen very often, and there's got to be there's going to generally be extenuating circumstances in why you got this or are even appealing it. So that's a special one. I'm generally going to say most submitters are never going to use the appeal button on there. It's almost always
Gotcha.
going to be a resubmission, even if the resubmission is, oh hey, I went and found um, the extra documentation that you needed. That's not
Mhm.
an appeal. That's actually just a resubmission. And an
Gotcha.
appeal is where it has gone through a lot of processes and was soundly somebody said no, not just we're returning this, but no,
Okay.
which again very rarely happens. So
All right. Cool. So then there is this next part, which is kind of changes to the name.
mm-hmm,
So there's an option that you don't want any changes, and then there's
mm-hmm,
one that some changes are okay. So here, do you just write like trying to think of Claire's?
I
I know
will
we were
I
talking
will
about,
accept following changes to my name. Like if you're going in and you're submitting Herald says, okay, this is probably going to be rejected the way like von Verstappen. Well, we're
yeah,
not going to get you von Verstappen, but we can probably get you Verstappen. So we would put von Verstappen on the society name as submitted, but down there it would says I will accept the following changes to my name. Drop the von is fine. That sort of thing.
yeah,
You know,
gotcha.
changes like that that you're okay with. Don't ever click both boxes at the same time. That confuses us.
Oh yeah, it does actually let you do that.
It will
I didn't
absolutely
think
let
it
you
would
do
let
that,
you.
but they are contradictory check marks.
Be aware when
Um,
you're filling this out that it
yeah,
lets you do that. I thought
yeah,
it would
it
only
really
let you
shouldn't,
fill
but it
out
does.
one.
Um,
Yeah,
we
because I think
generally
this
do
one,
not, we generally recommend that you don't use the first box at all. Unless there's a really good reason. Clicking that first box is the express lane to getting it returned if we have to do some sort of change to it.
gotcha.
You could also do things, you also have the if my name must be changed, I care most about, so that we know what sorts of flavor of changes. Um, also, also, most of the time, we're going to ask. We're not just going to make the change. We're going to say, hey, um, please respond to this email quickly. This is time sensitive. Is this change okay with you? Because it did, you know, if you don't put on the form what you're good with as far as changes go, a lot of the time what's going to happen is that we're going to identify most of these changes at the internal letter commentary portion because it goes through when you I'm getting ahead of us a little bit here, but you go through and you submit the form to your submissions herald who puts it on an internal letter. And that internal letter is primarily just for folks inside the kingdom to kick it around and say, okay, is everything good here? Are all the I's dotted? Are all the T's crossed? Is there anything on the instant rejection list that we need to look at? Because there's a list of about 10 things that if any of them happened, it just goes back to speed up your process. So you're not waiting 7 more months for it to come back anyway. You're waiting 1. Um, but that list doesn't get used. But like, let's say your name is a direct conflict. Somebody else already has that name, but we just didn't discover it before you submitted it. That's going to come right back, right? Um, but a lot of the times it's going to, but instead of that, we could also have a case where, yes, this is a direct conflict, but here's some ideas. Here's some things that we can do with your name that could change it. And the submitter's like, well, I really like it, but maybe some of those would be okay, or maybe somebody else can come up with some other suggestions I might like. So in that case, we would adjust this form before we sent it up to society, and we would add those things to the form. We would add the talk to submitter. Submitter will also accept these, and that
Mhm.
goes on that spot on the form when we get those.
Gotcha.
Because it really isn't just a fire and forget sort of thing.
Mhm.
Sometimes it is, but frequently it's there's something that needs to be massaged, you know, need to knead the dough a little bit before it's ready to rise, and
Yeah.
we can make those changes at all sorts of stages until we fire it up to society, and then it's a little more fixed in stone. But
Yeah.
even
So
then,
it's kind of you
hey.
submit this name, but
Mhm.
sometimes it won't work. So you don't want to just have it shot back to you with a no, but there's some things that
Right,
you can
yeah,
change. Yeah.
and it's very rarely that we actually say no. It does
Yeah.
happen, but usually it's not a rejection, it is a
Mhm.
return, and we're returning it usually with a list of, okay, these are the things that we need. We either need more documentation or we need more, you know, more of this or more of that, or the grammar
Gotcha.
isn't good for what you say you want. Like when
Okay.
someone says, I really want, you know, this especially, let's go to this next one where it says, please change my name to be authentic for, right?
Mhm.
And that opens a can of worms, but we're usually going to get it right if we can.
Yeah.
There's some people that request names that there is no way that we can make them authentic. I'm sorry, we really can't. Um, a lot of the time we can, but the more information you include in that authenticity request, the closer we're going to get, and the more things that you let us change, the better it's going to get. Especially if it's all we have to do is we just need to change the preposition and conjugate it correctly for the whatever, which
Mhm.
happens a lot with Viking names. a lot. Getting the
Gotcha.
grammar correct on Viking names is like we've got like 5 people who specialized in just that. It's kind of funny.
Yeah. And then just a note here, it does say for this to be specific to use like a century and a region rather
Mhm.
than like early and Celtic.
Right.
Uh, just to be specific on what you're actually looking for.
Yeah. And what a
Help
lot
your
of people,
herald.
yeah, what a lot of people really want eventually is just they want the sound 9 times out of 10, because they like how that name sounds in
Yeah.
their head. So if my name must be changed, I care most about. Usually, I'm going to tell you, you want to click sound.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's what really does. Um, the holding name. The holding name is basically you're submitting with badges, devices, something else. Maybe some household names or whatever, and there's a problem with your name. We can't register what you submitted. Crud. Can we create you a temporary holding name that will just be something that is the name that is attached to all this stuff? Because, like I said earlier, it's all keyed off of your registered name. So, can we create a holding name? Because if we can create a holding name and everything else is fine, everything else gets registered. If you tell us that we can't create a holding name, though, doesn't matter. Everything is going to get returned to you if we can't put a name on it.
Mhm.
So please let us create you a holding name, because that way, if nothing else, everything else will get registered. And changing a holding name, it's one of the clicky boxes up at the top of the form. If you've got a holding name, you've already paid for it. You don't have to pay for the change. Change of holding name is you would be new plus change of holding name most of the time when you're doing that, because it's a new
Yep.
name, but you're
Ah,
changing the whole. So we know to look for that. Um, we know to look for it. And filling out the form for a change of holding name is one of those things you're going to want a Herald to help you with, to make sure you put the correct things in the correct lines, because
yeah.
it's not necessarily intuitive how to fill out the top of the form on that.
Oh,
So,
cool.
documentation.
Documentation. Yeah, so we have for Claire's. This is the documentation that we had. I'll just plop it in there. It's not a ton of documentation. Um, is there like how much documentation do most people use, or do the
Um,
heralds want to see basically?
assuming assuming that that's a good batch for the family search, which will get checked
Mhm.
um, at you're probably going to when you actually do this, you're going to want to fix the text around Clara up
Yeah.
there with the ad quotes and
Oh
all that.
yeah.
I figured that out. This is enough documentation right here. This is it. This is all you need. It gives us a link to where to find Clara. The St. Gabriel docs are almost always good. Family search is really random because it depends on the batch
Mhm.
and everything else. And now, if the batch is not one of our instantly good batches, which I forget the list, we've got a list of them out there. If it's not a good batch, but it still has links to the photos, that's probably going to be good enough. It'll
Yeah.
all get checked at
Yeah.
internal. The
Yeah,
documentation
I
will all
know
get checked.
the Verstappen was the hard one for us to
Yeah.
find.
Um, honestly,
Between that and Van der
this
Stappen.
this is what we consider perfect documentation. Absolutely perfect. We've got a link, we've got locations, we've got the starting point that we need. This is sufficient documentation right here. Um,
Cool.
Wikipedia is a good place to start, but it's not going to be where you end. Names books, like baby names books for 1995, whatever, probably not going to work. St. Gabriel is not actually an SCA organization, but the Venn diagram of heralds and the Venn diagram of the St. Gabriel people is not quite a circle, but it is a stack of pancakes. There's a lot of crossover um, between those two groups, and Family Search has been a wonderful tool for us to borrow. Um, not all, like I said, not all batches in Family Search are the good batches, and I'm drawing a blank as to which appendix in the
Hmm.
administrative handbook. But that's what your heralds are for.
Gotcha.
Um,
Yeah,
so
and
yeah.
I did not do this research. We
Hmm.
did a little consult session with Her
Hmm.
Majesty Wu, I think
Yeah.
last year at some point. So she's the one
Okay.
who actually helped us with this stuff.
Who put this? Yeah, Wu is an amazing book herald.
Yeah. She
Uh,
helped me with my stuff
yeah.
too.
And that's also why this is all you have, because honestly, this is all we need.
Yeah.
We just need something that tells us this name was used in period, in this
Mhm.
location, these years, this location, because there's some things that we can mix and some things that we can't. But in this case, it's all Dutch, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Or well, Flemish and Dutch are close enough.
Yeah.
Not quite the same, but really close.
All right.
So we have rules. English and French can be mixed to within X number of hundred of years, depending on where they are. There's a whole list of things like that. And if you were mixing things which are not here, you would include the appendix chapter verse of we are combining this name from France with this name from England based upon
Mhm.
this allowable thing, which even if the submitter doesn't know it, it's going to get thrown on the form before it gets up to society anyway, because somebody will mention it and we'll just add it. Heraldry is a team sport. By the time your name gets, or your name or device gets approved or returned, about 50 people have looked at it. So it it goes, and I think but yeah, this amount of research on most armorials, unless you're doing a high complexity tutor piece, um, it's unlikely that you're going to need to do too much documentation. You
Okay.
might have to do something called an individually attested pattern if you're trying to do something that is not common armory.
Mhm.
If you're doing an IAP, you're going to need to get a herald involved, because there's actually a group of very experienced heralds who specialize in doing IAPs.
And what
Uh,
is an IAP?
that's the individually attested pattern.
Gotcha.
That is when your armory would break the rules.
Got
We have our
Okay.
standards. We have SCA, which is the
Mhm.
standards um, for evaluation of names and armory. That's what it stands for.
Okay.
And these standards are what we use to decide yes or no.
Gotcha.
But one of the things in SCA is the individually attested pattern. You can do it for names, you can do it for armory. This doesn't follow our rules, but I have found evidence of it actually happening.
Gotcha.
I have this example, this example, this example. It's used more for
And
armory than names,
yeah,
but
and I
you
think
get
that's a good
yeah,
transition for us too, to
there you go.
switch to the device form
Yep.
too. So the
Um,
start is basically the same.
yep. You'd put the same name. Don't need the modern name, but yeah, I mean we do, but um, yeah, you get all that. You use same branch
I
name
can put
and
if
yeah,
you know your branch name, put your branch name.
yeah,
And then when you submit it,
yeah.
Consulting
Consulting
Hero.
Herald, and a way for us to contact the Herald when we need to go. What was
Yeah.
the submitter thinking? It's like, what were they thinking? Because this doesn't make sense, and we want to get a better idea of what they actually want. Especially if the artwork is is that a crow or is it a
Mhm.
magpie? Not that it really matters all that much, but we'd kind of like to know. Um,
Then here was Claire's. Ah, and the actual device part of this, we don't really have to go into like making it because that would be a whole nother
that is at
video
least
within
another video.
itself. Um,
For if you're doing electronic submissions, we like it
okay.
if you can get the artwork onto the um, if you can get the artwork onto the form, awesome. If you can't, submit the artwork to Keythong with your form electronically, and we can make it happen.
Yeah.
It just needs to be 300 DPI
Gotcha.
is the is the resolution that we're looking for, the level of detail that we're looking for.
Yeah, in this form, when you open it on like Acrobat or some type of PDF editor, this one, when you click it, does allow you to put
Yeah,
an
it should.
image in it.
It'll allow you to just paste the artwork.
Yeah. It just doesn't do it from like a normal Google tab. So,
Right. Yeah. So that's again, artwork is a whole nother class by itself.
yeah.
Um, as far as the blazon goes that you've got typed in there, we always ask that people give best effort. Um, the blazon that will be actually registered is up to Wreath, um, because sometimes there's just simply a different way of putting the words on the picture. Um, the picture is what is actually registered.
Gotcha.
We have a database, we have an archive of every single one that we have going way back because we register the picture because our standards change for how we blazon those pictures. And so you may get a notification in 6 years. We've changed the blazon on your submission to now say this. It
Mm,
doesn't change your registration. It doesn't change your shield. It doesn't change what you've registered. It just changes how we store the words in the database,
makes sense. So it's
which is why
more
the
the
decision was made
picture
early.
and this. Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
The,
I
the
think
picture is
that's
the important part. The
gotcha.
the blazon is what we use on our back end to find conflict. So,
So
because
this
it's
is
easier to do
conflict
a database
checking. This
search
is
on
yours.
that. Yeah.
Cool. All right.
It's easier for us to do a conflict check based on the words than it is the pictures. So, yeah.
And I think that's basically all of this form.
Hmm.
This one's pretty short. And then we
Yeah.
have where these forms actually go. So
Yeah.
I'll open up my email. And you want to send this to
Hmm.
the Keithon
Yep.
at northshield.org.
Yep.
And then you can just say name and device submission.
Yep.
And then you would insert your files. I won't
Yep.
actually do that here, but you want to email keithong at northshield.org. And then there is a cost for
Yes.
submitting this. It's $5 per. So if
Yep.
I were submitting my name and my device at the same time, it would be $10. And that
Hmm.
is generally paid through PayPal, I believe.
Yep.
Um,
That's the
and
that's
then
the
there's
preferred.
also
Yeah.
the badge form is basically the same as the device
Yep.
form. So for all three, if you want to knock them all out at once, it's going
Hmm.
to be $15.
The big difference is with the badge form. If you want to hop back over to that for just a
Yeah.
second. Okay, so with badges can be jointly owned.
Mm,
If more than one person is forming a household, they can jointly own the badge. And there's a
gotcha.
check mark for it there, and then there's a little spot to put the extra. It's right just above the square. It's under the big line. Badge jointly
Oh,
owned.
yeah,
If yes,
right
co-owner
there.
society name. That way we can get it
Gotcha.
registered. It
Okay,
counts towards both of your limits if you do that. Just letting you
gotcha.
know. Fieldless is badge. On badges, you do not have to have a field. It can just be a charge. Um, all if it is fieldless, all pieces of your submission must touch so that they're a unified unit. But past that, you can have a fieldless, and that's mostly for people who are going to like spray paint this on something to mark it as
Mhm.
theirs, because then you just have a symbol, and it doesn't matter what it goes on; it just goes on whatever. Um, so that's why we do have the option for fieldless badges.
Okay.
Um, so that's just for it gets the conflicts checking gets a little more interesting, but that's again that would be something
Mhm.
for another video. But it is an option, and that's really more the level that we're at here.
Okay.
Cost of submitting, I think you got over that for $5.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that's about everything that
you didn't
I
talk about the
had.
timeline. How
Oh,
long does
yes,
this
the
one take?
timeline would be great. How long does this take generally to do?
Um, can you pull up Oscar? Do you know what
I pull
Oscar
up
is?
what? I do not.
Okay. So what you're going to want to pull up is oscar.sca.org. This is where
Ah,
everything goes.
I think I
So
have seen this before. I
this
don't
is
think
what
I've
we
ever
use
really
to
been
do
on it.
stuff. So don't worry about logging in. Click on track for me. It's up there. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha.
This is, so
Ah,
people want to know how long it's going to take. This is how you know how long it's going to take.
gotcha.
Um, so when you put something into Keythong, Keythong is going to put it on the next internal letter. It will sit on the internal letter for 1 month, where it will gain commentary from people inside North Shield, outside North Shield, wherever. Then it goes into an internal decision process where Keythong's like, okay, is everything good with this submission? Do I need to make any changes? Do we need to get any updates from the submitter? Cool. Goes on an external letter. Piles everything off the internal letter that's cool onto the external letter. Like I said, the number of times that we return something at internal is teeny.
Mhm.
Um, and then it goes up. And then once we kick it up, it'll come up onto this. You can see the February 1st letter. There was an external that we submitted on February 1st, and this has all sorts of things. It just so happens, um, looks like we only have one, um, and all of North Shield stuff is we have a sunshine policy. So for the most part, anybody can look at submissions. I don't even think you need to have an account on Oscar to do that. But you
Yeah,
can look
I'm
here
not logged in or anything.
yeah, and sometimes people get a little worried when they start seeing negative um, commentary on their submissions. It's honestly not something to be really worried about because commentary is just that. You have opened this up to the internet and people are giving their opinions. And that's all it really is an opinion. The only voice that actually matters is the decision sov, who is unlikely to actually put anything into commentary.
Mhm.
But it also gives us some stuff. But this is how you track. And so it goes up, it goes into commentary for 2 months. And if you could go back to the tracking box, yes, from here, what this tells you is um, so that January, the February 1st letter, which is the far right column, it says you must comment by April 30th, right? So any comments that we do up at the society level have to be in by April 30th. It's going to go on to the meeting that'll be, well, we can see February, March, April, May. It'll be in the May meetings. We will meet
Mhm.
in May to decide yes or no on all of the stuff from that February letter. So then middle of May, usually you can see the other dates on here, 7, 15, 10, 18. It's usually the first 2 weeks. It's then going to go through 2 proof passes. Each one takes a month to make sure that we get everything right. We get the grammar right, we get the wording correct, all that fun stuff. Make sure everything's spelled correct. If there was any post-meeting things that needed to be dealt with, we deal with it. And then after that 2 month process, we go ahead and publish the letter. So the stuff that was on the February external letter, that February 1st letter, will get decided in May, probably will be July or August. Hence it gets involved July or August before we actually see the published letter of acceptances and returns. That's what LOAR stands
Gotcha.
for. So that's your average timeline. You know, the
All right.
February 1st stuff, these February letters will be decided upon in May, and we will find out in July, August, something like that, as to what the actual status is. Um, but one of the reasons why I mention the extra things that can sometimes happen and why that delay is important. Um, One of the things that I found when I first started in the SCA for my own submissions was a lot of people thought or had the running theory that the heralds that decide these things are always looking for a reason to say no or a reason to return.
Mhm.
And one of the first things I learned once I got behind the scenes was that the opposite is actually true. I was in a wreath meeting a couple of years ago where we got some new information on a specific style of a division line. It was a line of division that we had never used before. So we were
Mhm.
like, oh, we really don't have the supporting evidence that this was an actual line that was used. And so we had a submission from a couple months previous that was going to be published as a return on Monday. The next Monday in the LOAR, it was going to go out as returned. Well, on
Mhm.
the Saturday wreath meeting, somebody else had submitted the same line, but with good documentation that proved to us, oh, no, this was actually used. Oh, holy cow. We stopped the publication of that LOAR with the return on it to go in, fix that return, append it, and move it from return to accepted. We delayed the entire publication of that letter of
Mhm.
acceptances returns by 24 hours so that we could go in there and change that from a return to an acceptance because we had the new information that we needed that would allowed us to
Yeah.
do that. And that's really the level of we are always looking for a reason to say
Hmm.
yes, not a reason to say no.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important that the people who are new to this or
Mhm.
are kind of getting down about, oh, this is so hard or this is so difficult or how do I do all of this? Most of the heralds that are out there are going to have your back for this and are going to
Hmm.
try to find a way. One of the things I put in when I put in for submissions herald in my letter was, as submissions herald, it is my responsibility to do whatever I can within the boundaries of kingdom law, corpora, and our standards for evaluation to get every submitter what it is they want to get, as
Hmm.
close as we can get to it. And that's really something that stretches all the way up to the top, from heralds on the ground to the heralds who are making this decision. Everybody wants to find a way to say yes.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people out there that are working for that yes for everybody.
Great. Yeah. So if you're scared of submitting it, your herald really wants you
We do.
to have it passed. So send it in. Hopefully, this video is helpful for everyone and you feel a little less scared about this process. Thank you very much, Calamus, for joining me today.
Thank you for
And if
having me.
anyone has any questions, you can comment under this YouTube video. Um, yeah, or post on the Kingdom discussion page. If you post somewhere, someone will, myself or someone else will do their best to answer. All right.
Yep.
Have a great day,
Absolutely.
everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you.